Hey everyone. So, this is going to be our chance to talk briefly about contrast when working with web apps. And really, this just kind of falls into the scale of using contrast to your benefit on the screen versus print, right? So, I have written down at the very bottom of the same grid that we've been using when building apps, talking a little bit about like the general rules of contrast. So print, the rule of thumb is about 30% difference between two areas, right? So like a 30% contrast between your background and your type to make it legible, to make it clearly understandable. With web, you get a little bit more cushion with that. You can push it all the way to about 15% contrast and be able to get away with it. But do you really want to? That's the big question. So I went ahead and put up a real quick guide for us at the top, mimicking roughly kind of like a menu setup you might see in an app, right? So we got play, join, and settings. It's honestly relatively hard to read that. That's about the 15% contrast mark, but it's still difficult, right? And the whole point of apps is to be really user friendly, and you don't want to have to push your audience to the limits. So let's pull up an additional example, and this is getting way heavier in the contrast realm of things, and just look how much easier that is to read, right? Again, if this is being held in the palm of your hand, you could read that from like 4 or 5 feet away practically. You can hold that phone ridiculously far away and you're still going to be able to read all that type. And again, that's the biggest core rule that you want to keep in the back of your head when you're designing apps is to be the most user friendly you can be. You don't want to have your audience struggle to read anything. So even though the web rule allows you to have lower contrast between elements and still technically, quote unquote, be able to get away with it, you don't want to have to push people that far. That is just ridiculous. If I had an app that was mimicking the top bar that we're showing there, I would delete it off my phone in a heartbeat. It's obviously poorly designed. If it was mimicking closer to the bottom bar, I might give it a chance. At the very least, it's giving me the chance to actually read the information on it. So that's our general talk about contrast. There really wasn't a whole lot to discuss. It's a pretty basic rule of thumb. You can have 15% contrast as your like lowest mark in the world of web, but please by all means when you have the opportunity, go past that.